Welcome to Milking the Franchise, the Cash Cow Chronicles, where me and Chris watch
Moo.
Please. Welcome to the show. How you doing, Chris?
Nailed it. It gets smoother every time, Tanner. I'm doing great, man.
I've been doing my mooing exercises at home.
Your throat kegels?
In the last week break that we've had, I've been mooing up and down my house. Well, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Yeah, it's good to hear from you. We had last week off, a little bit unexpectedly, but that's what it took to get this movie watched. I'm excited to be back talking Ghostbusters with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Like you said, an unexpected week off. We wanted to give some time, for spoilers. We don't want it to be spoiled for everybody. Hopefully you saw the movie and you can listen spoiler free. But if you haven't and you don't care, then there are tons of spoilers. So
we're going to talk about the whole movie,
the entire movie. This is the podcast where we watch every movie in a franchise, and we talk about the movie, we break it down, and then we talk about all the IP surrounding it and how each franchise eventually kind of gets milked for all it's worth. Ghostbusters being a pretty good example of that and all the different things that comes out of this franchise.
So much Ghostbusters stuff. Yeah.
So much stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit later about Spirits Unleashed video game, and Chris has got something up his sleeve. Yeah, something you read?
I read two very strange Ghostbuster adjacent books this week. And I'm excited to talk about both of them. So,
all right. I can't wait for that. Chris, how was your week off?
It was great. It was much needed. Sixth graders can kind of wear you down after a while. It was a nice break. The little town outside of Medellin called Jardín. Super beautiful, really nice place to be. So I really enjoyed my time off and feeling rested, feeling ready to go.
Now,
how have you been? How was your week off?
It was good. Yeah, I went to Scottsdale, Arizona, and Phoenix. I got out of Seattle. It's a little bit rainy here still, so and it came back to sun, which was nice. But went down there and played some golf with some friends for, he just got married. Not quite a bachelor party, but it was a good time. And hung out, had a good time. Came back a little sick though, as sometimes happens on the flight, and I'm still dealing with that. If you can bear with me today, so
I think you sound great, Tanner.
Oh, thank you. How dulcet on a scale of 1 to 5? How dulcet are my tones?
Oh gosh, dude. 4.789 for 20.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where's
You're
the
right
69? No 69, or did you say 69?
Oh, it's implied.
Okay. Yeah.
Always implied.
Always implied. There's the T-shirt. No. All right. Well, another part of this podcast, Chris. What do we do here at the top of the show?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So one thing that we really like about this little show is we send out a survey with each one of the movies that we watch that just kind of has some jokes, some bits, some things, some questions for you to answer as the listener. Even if you haven't seen the movie, we try to keep the questions pretty general and pretty silly. So we would love it if you take a peek at the show notes after this episode and play along with Ghostbusters. What was this thing called again? Frozen Empire. Frozen Empire. In Colombia, it was called Apocalypsa Phantasma, which I think is way better.
Yeah, wow. Is that Fantastic Apocalypse, or what is Phantasma?
I think it's Phantasma is like Ghost, so I think it's like Ghost Apocalypse.
Ghost Apocalypse.
Yeah,
that sounds pretty cool.
Pretty cool, right? Yeah. So anyway, we do these surveys, and then at the top of each episode, we kind of go over the results that we had from the week prior survey. And so the survey results that we've got to go over this week are from Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is the last movie that we watched.
Chris,
So
I get. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes.
No.
Yes. Sorry, we are going to go over that. I was just going to say that I guess the Empire doesn't transfer as far as like the Empire State probably to Spanish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they could have called it like New York Movie Frio or something like that.
Ghostbusters Demasiado Frio. I think that would
There
have
you
been a
go.
better name. Yeah, that's the one right there.
Okay, sorry about that tangent. Let's see, Ghostbusters Afterlife survey. We got 9 responses. Thank you to the subreddit again, to everyone who is having a good time. I did get some responses this week. Thank you to W for reaching out and saying how much they liked it. Yeah, first question here. Favorite Ecto 1 feature? Overwhelming support for the gunner seat.
Gunner seat is dope. Yes.
Very cool.
No love for the RC car, which I was a little surprised by because I thought that was a fun little ad too.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's see, what was I going to say about that? Oh yeah, the older movies didn't really. Everyone knows the car, but it didn't really have much purpose. In this movie they really leaned into the car, which was cool.
Yeah.
Then we asked least favorite fan service. So Afterlife, we talked about how it's got just tons of nostalgia and fan service going on. Maybe way too much. The winner of this one was the "Who you gonna call" line at the jail. That
Perfect.
was too much.
Too much. People couldn't handle it.
The lack of Slimer is in there as well, and the tiny Stay Puft marshmallows.
Do you know what I realized when we were watching the movie this week?
What's that?
It would have been really weird if Slimer was in that movie because Slimer lives in New York.
That's true.
It would have been like really weird if he was in Afterlife. I realized that when we were watching this movie.
It would have been so just weird. It would have really taken me out of the immersion of the movie.
Well, like, do they ghost fly there, or do they just follow around? Anyway, never mind. They did not put Slimer.
That's a
in
great
the last
point.
movie.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
but yeah, it wouldn't make sense. You're right.
Yeah.
Next question. Speaking of Slimer, Muncher or Slimer? Overwhelming Slimer is the winner. One person likes Muncher though.
Okay.
That's fair. Why is it that only the Stay Puft marshmallows come to life? So we talked a lot about the tiny marshmallows turning into the Stay Puft things at the grocery store, and that's the only food item that gets, comes to life. It's not like there's talking vegetables and stuff like that. And the reason here is nostalgia and marketing, although there's lots of people.
I think everything that we put in there got at least one vote. Yeah.
Oh, these were all. I think that was an open-ended question, so these are all write-in questions.
Oh, right on.
We got from W. Thank you, W. The sugar came from a mine. Wait, the sugar came from a mine was sealing up the malevolent ghost of John Candy. That crazy old poutine farmer played by Rick Moranis was keeping the ghost at bay using tax paperwork. All right.
Wow. Okay. I didn't get that myself from the movie, but maybe I wasn't watching closely enough. I think that's a great answer.
Well, you need to rewatch. Yeah.
That's it.
Because Gozer was likely toying with Gary because they remembered the destructor form. All right, so they're saying that because it's Gozer again, they're bringing back the marshmallow because they remembered that from before. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
That's a reasonable answer. Yep.
Dormant paranormal energy around the brand after what happened in 1984. Similar answer. Specific psychokinetic resonance. The same answer, but put scientifically, sounds like.
It's so scientific sounding.
In fact, these are all the same thing. Just connections, metaphysical connections. So, thank you for those. So
the Gozer connection is kind of what explains the marshmallows.
Yeah, but I still think it's the marketing team. That's the real reason.
I think that was certainly true.
All right. What else would you like to see come to life at that grocery store? Nothing. Thank you. Paul Rudd's Juicy Dong. Hubba Hubba. Thank you, W, once again. Um, Barbecue. Like an actual barbecue or like the meat? What do you think?
Great question. I think I don't know. It would be kind of fun if like the charcoals came to life and you had like little fire charcoals running around after the marshmallow guys, right?
Yeah. Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ghostbuster toys. That'd be a little meta.
Like a show within a show, yeah.
Wait, somebody wrote charcoals. Was that you?
I think that one was me. Yeah. I was like
Okay.
barbecue. Yeah.
Vlasic Pickle Man. Nice. Yeah,
goes
the
with
Pickle Man.
Paul Rudd. Yeah, goes with Paul Rudd's Dong.
That'd be great. Chewing gum and condoms. Speaking of Paul Rudd's Dong. Cheese Monster, Pizza Ghost, Breadhead, and Ice Creamster.
I like that answer because they went ahead and named them all for us. Breadhead is a great ghost name.
Breadhead. Ice Creamster. Nothing. The whole idea is that the mini Stay Puffs are a harbinger of the coming of Gozer, which is confirmed by the appearance of the Terror Dog. All right. Next question. Which is the better podcast? Podcast from the movie, the character named podcast. Podcast, which is his podcast, or our podcast, Milking the Franchise. And the winner was podcast, the person.
The person.
I'm
glad that we held our own against podcast's podcast.
Yeah, I mean, come on, that's no good. That can't be good.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we lost, that would be a problem, but we at least tied.
Well, hopefully, at least we both voted for our own. I assume we both voted for our own
That's
podcast.
What the two votes are from. Who knows,
man? All right. Well, thank you for that. Tanner or me, I theorized that Janine could be the mother of Callie Spengler. Do you think this is true? If not, who is her mother? W again says Egon probably had sex with the mood slime and poured all over a statue of, I don't know, Amelia Earhart. Probably used a Nintendo controller to get him drinks and stuff.
Okay.
Well, they did use the Nintendo controller in Ghostbusters 2. That's how they controlled the Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we got grad student from university days. All right, so she doesn't have a specific mother. Yes, maybe because it was her dad who abandoned her, and she would. Oh, she totally would. Janine totally would bang Egon, right?
I mean, they had a lot of chemistry specifically in the first movie, right?
It seemed like it, but then she went after.
But then she was with Rick Moranis in 2. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It seemed like they were trying to allude to that. It would have been like a fun connection, but that didn't happen in this new movie. So
they did not connect those dots in this movie. Yep.
Yeah. Some random gal, Janine and Egon hadn't met in 1982. Oh, so she was already born before any of this had started, and he was like not around as a father. Is that what that's implying?
Yeah. So like Egon in Ghostbusters 1 had a 2-year-old baby that was never addressed.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. No and no idea. I like those answers. Likely one of the scientists he worked with in Ghostbusters 2. Okay.
All right.
Egon made a lady clone of himself. I am Tanner, and I approve this theory.
Was that one yours, Tanner?
Nope.
No, different Tanner.
False. Callie predates 1984. Likely someone Egon was involved with for personal research.
This is great. We got a real answer on this. You were wrong, my friend.
False.
False.
Yeah, I guess so. It just seemed like it would have been. it seemed like the way the franchise is going, they would have tried to connect all these things to it.
Yeah.
But
It seemed like a good way to include her a little more.
right.
To
That's
me.
kind of what I
Yeah.
was thinking.
Yeah.
All right. Rate Ghostbusters Afterlife. It got about a 4 out of 5 overall.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Great.
Well, thanks again for taking that survey. Shout out to our friend W. If you guys want to sign your comments, feel free to, like she did. And yeah, thank you.
We'll try and shout y'all out too.
Yeah, we'll shout you out. If you have any ideas, you can post on our subreddit about how we can do the surveys in a different way to make it, easier to read usernames and stuff like that. So you don't have to sign after every single comment. If you have any ideas, you can hit us up on there.
Right.
But yeah, let's talk
Hey,
about
Tanner.
Yeah.
Hey, Tanner. Is it
Chris?
getting cold in here?
I'm actually sweating.
Okay, I'm actually pretty hot too. But I was trying to segue into this new movie, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Oh my god, it's so cold. You're right. Now I'm feeling it.
Now you're
Hold on, let me
it.
go put my socks on.
Okay. We'll wait.
All right.
Listeners are waiting. I'm waiting. Craig is waiting.
Hold on. I've been gaining weight here, so it's a little difficult. Okay.
Well, while Tanner's putting his socks on, obviously, hella spoilers. So if you have not seen this movie and you want to, I would pause this and come back to it. I thought this movie was pretty fun, and I think it's worth a watch. But we'll get into that in just a moment.
Yeah.
Tanner, how those feeties doing?
Oh, they're good. I'm nice and toasty now.
Love it.
Yeah, this movie just came out, 2024.
That's right.
A couple weeks old, directed by Gil Keenan, who was a writer on Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Okay.
And then he took over directing duties because Ivan Reitman passed away since then. This movie is dedicated to Ivan Reitman.
Well,
Jason Reitman did
one, right?
Yeah, his son, but I think that's probably why he didn't want to be a part of this one, I'm assuming. Could be wrong about that.
Yeah, it sounded like the last one was like a real father-son thing. Like Ivan came to set a lot, and it would probably be weird doing a sequel to that movie right after your dad died. That would be kind of strange. So, yeah.
Yep.
So, do you want to jump into this Frozen Empire, Tanner?
Let's do it.
Cool.
So yeah, this movie is again like it's got these new characters, the Spengler family, with Carrie Coon and Finn Wolfhard, and let's see, McKenna Grace as the two kids, and then Paul Rudd as the new father figure. And they're the descendants of Egon Spengler, Harold Ramis, and it has all the original Ghostbusters as well. So it's continuing that story. Most of them, maybe Bill Murray's in it a little bit less, but the other ones are in it the entire time this time, as opposed to the first movie, the Afterlife movie, where they're just kind of in it at the end.
They just show up at the end to save the day. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this one's kind of merging the two a little bit more. It's definitely a more crowded movie than we've seen before. There's a lot of characters. But yeah, it starts off in the past, and the plot's a little crazy here, so forgive me if I get some points wrong.
Before we go to the past, Tanner, they started with a Robert Frost poem, and it wasn't the one about the two roads diverging in a wood, so I didn't recognize it. But I was wondering, do you think they picked Robert Frost just because his name is Cold?
Yes.
Okay, great. That's all.
I was going to say the same thing because I don't know if I don't remember what the poem was either.
Yeah, it wasn't on screen long enough. Again, we watched this one in theaters, so our notes are a little sloppier this time than last time, but that's okay.
I did see it twice though, and then I got more of it the second time for sure.
Okay, great. So take us back to old-timey times. I think it's set in 1904. I wrote down.
Yeah, and it starts off at the firehouse, basically the same firehouse that the Ghostbusters buy later on. And there's an ice chill that comes across it, and the firemen show up, and everybody's frozen. And there's like a person in all bronze, holding this ball, and like people start bursting. All the ice people start bursting, and that's pretty much all you get. Am I right?
Yeah, that's about right. Everyone is frozen solid, like end of
Yeah.
Terminator 2 shit. And there is a nice moment there. There's a
Good call.
record playing on one of those Edison, like the circular wax things, and the guy's arm has broken off because it was so cold.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
but it's still
yeah,
turning with his hand on it, right?
yeah. I thought that was a nice visual touch.
Yeah, and I don't really know. So they're trying to set up in this movie that somehow the firehouse is the central source of everything or something. I don't know why. Do you know why this firehouse scene needed to be in there?
I mean, I think it was setting up the woman covered in metal because we
Yeah.
meet her descendant throughout the movie, so kind of that, and then it's also just kind of the opening. Like every one of these movies has some sort of like
Yeah.
spiritual ghosty intro before we get the opening credits.
Like a James
But
Bond movie, it always starts with an action scene.
exactly. But as for the thing itself, I mean, they talk about it being like the plug between this dimension and the afterlife dimension or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know why it needed to be the firehouse. I don't know on that.
Yeah, it's kind of strange because it's just coincidence that they happen to buy this firehouse in the original
Mhm.
movie. And now it's like the lore has been built so much around it that it's like this is actually the source of all afterlife in the entire universe.
Yes. This is where we
Um,
manufacture afterlife.
um, yeah, so this could have been called Ghostbusters: The Source. It's like
Jesus Christ. Don't put that on this
it
movie.
is not
This movie was
any.
nice.
It's not
Yeah.
Highlander: The Source. Yeah. So it cuts to present day. We get the Ghostbusters logo, and we get the team, the new family, the Spangler family, and Paul Rudd
Mhm.
driving around the Ecto One through New York City, chasing a Hell's Kitchen sewer dragon. They say,
Hell yes.
and you get so Phoebe Spangler's kind of like she's like the smart version of, she's like the Egon, clone. She's like the new Egon, and she's like 15 years old or whatever. So she's a little bit too young to be busting ghosts, but she's kicking ass. She gets chasing this dragon around, I don't know, New York City, and people are
Yep.
like totally fine with it. The cops are letting them do it. They're like, oh, they got it. The Ghostbusters got it. Don't worry.
Bustin makes them feel good. Just let them do their thing.
It's true.
Yeah.
She's making her dumb jokes, and she goes out the side of the car and busts the
Gunner
ghost,
seat.
the gunner seat. And they have a little addition to their car. Chris, what is it?
Hell yeah, they do. They have. I really like this intro. I thought it showed off the new stuff, and it was also back in New York City. I liked the sewer dragon, but yeah, they added a new trap. So in addition to the RC car traps, they now have a drone trap that'll like fly up, and they can control it with a remote control, and then it'll open in midair and suck up the ghosts that way, which is pretty clever. I thought it was pretty clever.
Pretty good. It reminded me of a Hard Ticket to Hawaii Picasso Trigger style thing where they just like, let's have an RC car, then we'll have a plane. Little shout out to our bad movie group.
Yeah. I think maybe on the survey this week, what's next? They did an RC car and a drone. What's next?
Yeah. Anything else about that opening scene? They capture the dragon, of course.
Yep. I did like that they referenced Ghostbusters 2. The last one like completely ignored Ghostbusters 2. And this one talked about the Statue of Liberty and that debacle of 1989. And that made me happy because it bugged me in the last one that they were just talking about, the one movie that everyone agrees is kind of a classic in this franchise.
Yeah, like almost they were going to like just not even acknowledge it. And now they're like, okay, fuck it. We're going to, it's all in. It's all canon, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's kind of shown in some news clips in the next scene here. And there's also a clip of the Ray Parker Jr. music video, like the actual music video that they made with the Ghostbusters in it dancing. So now it's become this weird meta thing where that song exists in the movie as well, right?
Oh
Like
God, yeah.
Ray Parker Jr. exists in the movie in some weird meta. I don't even know what you call that.
My brain is hurting trying to piece all that together. Yeah.
But they're kind of a couple clips of the Ghostbusters stuff and what happened downtown, and they're getting chastised by the new mayor. I think he's the mayor, right?
Yep.
Who is
Classic mayor scene.
Walter Peck. Yeah, the original a-hole from the first movie. He's back, and he's trying to stop the Ghostbusters again. It's his lifelong work just to interrupt even though he's seen these things happen right in front of him, he just can't. He just hates them so much, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the Statue of Liberty walked across New York City, and he still is not a believer in this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's back. I like the line in there. Paul Rudd said, "Mr. Mayor, may I approach the bench?" And Paul Rudd has some great lines in this movie. He's silly and endearing.
I thought this movie was funny. Like, I actually thought it was funnier than the last movie. I thought the jokes were good. Kumail was super funny. We'll get to him in a minute. But I thought the things were landing a lot better than the last couple of these franchise or these legacy sequels here. So they he's getting mad at them because, well, Phoebe's 15 years old, and they're like, you're not allowed to work, this is like child labor, and he's like, oh well, we don't pay her, so don't worry about that. And that's also an issue. So basically they get forced to bench her and take her off the team, and she's like, the one that's really into it and the smartest one of all of them, probably. So this causes just kind of some drama for her, and it sets some character arcs for her. And she's upset because she's like, hey, and if this was the 1800s, I'd already be part of the workforce with 3 kids, I don't know.
Aren't we all yearning for that?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, he's like, you're going around New York City with a weapon, and she's like, a weapon of science.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, a weapon of science.
Yeah. But Trevor is barely 18, so Finn Wolfhard is not benched. It's really just Phoebe that has to sit this stuff out.
Yeah, I kind of am like, Trevor, totally forgot his name was Trevor until you said it too, because again, I feel like they don't give him a whole lot to do.
Agreed.
Except for the Slimer slide plots.
I was hoping that they were going to do more of that, and we'll get to that. Let's table that for just a second.
Yeah, where do we go next?
So we get a little bit of backstory of kind of what has happened since Oklahoma. Now the Spangler family is living in the firehouse and busting ghosts. So they've really moved in on the the family business, but they're also living in the firehouse. And Phoebe's doing nerdy science stuff. And Podcast and Ray are kind of around. They're making a spirit show where they have people bring in stuff kind of like Antiques Roadshow, and then they run the PKE meter reader over the stuff to see if it's haunted. And
then if it's not, they smash it with a hammer, and that's kind of like their little viral. That's like the hook. This is like the hammer gets the views. So this lady brings in an old watch, and they're like, "My dead husband wore it. Is he inside of this?" And then they scan it. Nope. And then he just smashes it with a hammer right in front of them.
Yeah.
They kind of, there's some loose plotting to get all these people back in here. Like Podcast is like, he lied to his parents about doing a summer thing, right? I can't even remember what it is.
Yeah, and Lucky is there for some reason.
She also is doing some kind of internship or something at the Ghostbusters HQ later on. Yeah. And then there's some stuff about Paul Rudd, kind of is he their dad or is he not the dad? Is he allowed to lay down the law? Kind of stuff. That's kind of a thread throughout the movie.
Yep.
And he says, I just don't know what I'm allowed to do, when laying down when parenting with your kids. And the wife says, permission granted. And he says, be nice to you. I'll just be an asshole to your kids.
Like a great stepdad. Yeah. Way to go, Gruberson. Yeah, and then the other thing that they kind of that they show us at this point that we'll see throughout the movie is there's a problem with the ghost containment unit. So like we've seen it in a bunch of the movies, but that big red vault in the basement of the firehouse where they store all the ghosts that they catch has. I don't know that we know quite what's wrong with it yet, but there's a problem with it.
Yeah, they're like struggling to capture the dragon ghost in it, and like having to use brute force just to like close it or something.
Yep.
And you also see it's kind of a lot of things cutting back and forth too. The Stay Puft Marshmallows are with podcast again, like they're inexplicably just around still. Which kind of refutes the Gozer thing that these people were saying in the survey, by the way.
I think their answer works for the last movie, but it does not work for this.
Yeah. Why are they still around?
I don't know.
What's controlling them? Money. No.
They wanted some more of those little characters.
Ooh.
Can we cut that out? I'm not proud of that joke.
What? That might be the best part of the show. The highlight of the show, Chris.
Oh, good lord.
That's a high bar. No. Yeah. So what else we got here? I think
it's time to meet Kumail.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Tell him.
So Kumail Nanjiani, hilarious comedian. What's his character name in this? Nadim?
It is Nadim Razmati.
Okay, perfect. So Nadim shows up to Dan Aykroyd and podcast little show, and he has a bunch of a box full of stuff to try and sell to them. Or it's not the show. I think it's just
he's just
Dan
trying to
Aykroyd's
hawk
right?
some old stuff of his grandmother's who.
Yeah. And he goes back to Dan Aykroyd's what is that? Ray's Occult. Yep, and to sell this stuff, and it's that gold ball brass ball, bronze ball. What metal is that?
They mentioned bronze later, that it has to be in like a bronze room or like surrounded by bronze, and he wears
Great.
They wear the bronze outfit, but I don't know if that's made of bronze. It's just
okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that doesn't matter, but yeah.
It's a bunch of stuff. It's basically all the stuff that character in the opening scene that kind of that was in the frozen room was wearing.
Yeah.
And the PKE readings on all this stuff are off the chart. It's like crazy paranormal activity on this stuff.
Yeah, and there's like a little bit of ice shows up on the ball. The ball like drops through the glass on the table. And everything's kind of shaking. There's like a little crazy moment of spiritual activity. And he gives them $100, and Kumail's like, "Thank you." The whole time he'd been kind of haggling, like, "I can't let it go for 30, maybe 50." Once he realizes he's got something Ray's interested in, he like keeps raising the price, which is pretty funny. But yeah, he walks outside and he leaves, and they're left with the ball, the glyph ball. Yeah. I noticed there's a little moment outside when he leaves. I'll just get into it now because I don't want to forget it. But on the second rewatch, I noticed he's like, there's a fire at the hot dog stand right outside the store, and he's like kind of controlling the fire with his arms, and they just kind of like, it's just kind of in the background, which I thought was a cool little tidbit.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah. So next we go to the Slimer scene, I think.
We do get one other quick little thing here. Janice is back, and she kind of explains that Janine, thank you so much. And she explains that they never emptied the containment unit, so it's just full.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we go to the attic. Yeah, so take us up there.
It's just a pile of garbage, and Slimer pops out of it. Of course he's going to be in this somewhere. Again, it's kind of like a plot thread that makes no difference to any, it's not affecting any part of this movie. Slimer's not affecting any part of this movie. But basically Finn Wolfhard
kind of just gives Finn Wolfhard something to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And apparently these were like ideas for scenes that were going to be done in the second movie, like that were cut out of it. That like they were going to be chasing Slimer around the firehouse and having all these comedic scenes with Slimer. So they put some of that in this movie just for whatever.
I
For
kind of
whatever
was
reason.
hoping they were going to come back to this more, and this was going to kind of be like in Caddyshack, Bill Murray is like against the groundhog.
Yeah.
Like I wanted this to be that, but they only did it like once or twice.
That is a great idea. That would have been good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, he tries to bust him. He gets slimed, and then later on, almost the exact scene happens. Except this time, he's eating his Cheetos, his Slimer branded Cheetos, of course. Chris's favorite.
They taste better when they're branded by a corporation.
Speaking of that, okay, I was at the airport yesterday or 2 days ago, and this lady we spotted across the way. This lady or young woman. She was eating Takis, like they're kind of like Cheetos. And she was taking the Takis and just putting them in her mouth and sucking them dry and putting them back in the bag and doing that one by one and not eating the chip. She was just
so weird.
and doing it in a really crowded spot.
And
like if
gross.
This is what you're doing, on your couch alone at night, you're like, oh, I'm being so just gluttonous. That's fine, but doing this right in the middle of the airport was weird to watch.
Sucking all the flavor powder off of Takis. That's 100%, real weird, dude. Real weird.
Yeah. So,
God, man, when I used to
that in there.
Yeah, when I used to live in Denver, my students a lot of times would buy those Takis, and if you buy them at 7-Eleven, they'll let you put the cheese from 7-Eleven on anything, and so they would buy those and then fill it up with nacho cheese, and just the like. It sounds actually pretty delicious, but also like so much, just like a year's worth of sodium in one snack.
It's like the ultimate munchie meal or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Slimer is in this movie. He's there. I do wish he would have. They could have tried to make him their sort of mascot, or like you said, the Caddyshack gopher would have been good. But he's just there. Where do we go from there, Chris?
I made a note here. The kids, I think the kids are older, and I think they're better actors. I enjoyed this movie so much better than Afterlife, like across the board, and that was one of the things. I think we get a nice scene here with Phoebe, and I thought she did a great job with what she was given here. And she is at the park and playing chess, kind of a callback to the first one. She communicated with her grandfather using a chessboard in the first movie, but this time it's not Egon. It's another girl. And I didn't get the actor. Do you know? Is she famous?
I did look her up. The character's name is Melody. The actress is Emily Allen Lind.
Okay.
I think she's in like the new Gossip Girl stuff.
Okay.
And that's really all I know.
Okay.
But yeah, she was fine. So she's talking to this ghost. I at first thought it was going to be like Egon again. I'm like, there's no way they're going to bring him back again. Like
more
you can't
AI.
Do that CGI.
Excuse me.
But yeah, it's just some other girl who you find out she like died in a fire. She's got this little matchbook, and they basically go in the route of is there something you need to do before you can pass over to the other side route with the ghosts in this with her at least?
Yeah.
Which, okay, I kind of have an issue. My only problem with this movie is this whole plot line.
Okay.
Not that she's bad or anything. And I get that it's like, so Phoebe's a really nerdy, lonely girl, right? And she doesn't have friends, and that's kind of her character. So it's almost
and they're
like
not letting her ghost bust in this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, I don't know. They're making it so like her only friend is going to be this ghost, right? And she can only connect with a ghost, and that's just, I don't know. I guess I just didn't like that there's this like human, regular talking ghosts in the movie. You know what I mean?
Sure. There's a dragon and a Slimer, and also just like a cute girl.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So anyway, that's kind of where they're going with this. And they play chess, and she enjoys her time with her, and they kind of become friends. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where's
and their
what else?
friendship kind of goes through the movie. This subplot to me reminded me a lot of like Casper the Friendly Ghost, and I
Exactly.
thought that this movie did a good job of using like I think both of these movies, this one and Afterlife, have done a good job of like broadening the palette of like ghost shit that they put into these movies. And
Yeah.
there's a scene later in this one, like down in the warehouse, that I thought was actually a pretty good horror scene when the ghosts start kind of like acting up. And I don't know. I was impressed that, for me, this plotline worked. And I think a big part of it is because it reminded me of, some of the other ghost stuff that I watched as a kid.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it's not like it was made bad. I just
mhm.
think that I don't know, having it be like this Casper the Friendly Ghost plot line. I don't know. I guess I want all my ghosts to be evil. That's where I'm at. I'm
That's
a
fair.
and you know
Yeah.
what? She
You
shouldn't have
want
trusted
ghost
this ghost. I don't want to spoil it yet, but she shouldn't have trusted that ghost, all right?
Oh, man. Hot take, Tanner.
That's
In a
why you don't
cold
trust a
video.
ghost. Um
Uh-huh. That's
yeah.
why we do this podcast, so we can be friends with each other and we don't have to resort to ghost friendship.
Chris, I'd be friends with you in the afterlife.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Um
I'll bring my matchbook. Anyway, so
and we can
so you
get
guys
high and eat Takis covered in nacho cheese together.
just lick the nacho cheese off like that woman at the airport.
Oh my goodness.
Disgusting.
It's haunting my brain right now.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Ghostbusters call out right there. Okay, so what happens after this? I want to get back into this thing. So
They find out that I think it's Winston
uh-huh.
shows up. They're kind of talking about the containment unit again, or it's kind of mixed in between all this stuff. But they've got a new facility that they're building.
Yep. Because
And
Winston
it's
is like a billionaire.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And so while you guys have been busting ghosts, we've been basically they created like a scientific research lab, Ghostbusters research lab, with all new equipment, a majorly large containment unit, and like
Mm-hmm.
they've discovered ways of like sucking the souls out of items, and they have like little training areas, and this is where so they show up there, they bring him there, and this is where we meet Lucky again, who was the Finn Wolfhard's love interest from Afterlife.
Yep.
And she's there, just has a what did I say? She got a job there,
An
an
intern.
internship. Yeah,
Yeah. And there's
and she,
they introduced another new character too. There's a guy with glasses that we meet here.
yeah,
Uh,
played by the comedian. He's a pretty good comedian, James Acaster, British guy.
okay.
He's actually a pretty funny stand-up, and I didn't even realize it was him until afterwards, and I realized I'd seen him on like Conan and stuff like that.
Okay.
But again, like he doesn't have a whole lot to do. He's in there, but there's a lot of characters in this movie. I think I said that.
So many. There's so many subplots that they have to
Yeah.
keep afloat.
Yeah.
It's impressive, and I think it's also a little bit to the detriment of the movie that they put
It's a
so
little
much
bloated.
effort.
Yeah.
It's a little bloated.
If they
But I
had
did I only
cut,
brought him up because he
yeah.
had his own special. He's like a mechanic for the Ghostbusters. He's not a buster, and they gave him like a little new Ghostbuster logo with a gear around it. Did you
Oh,
catch
I
that?
missed that. No.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it's just them showing that the Ghostbusters is like expanding into like, I don't really know. More of a business, or not a business, but like it's a real thing now. It's not just these four people.
Yes.
I know they had talked about in the video game, that I played, where at the end it's kind of like, or maybe it was like supposed to be like this. I don't remember it from the game, but they're like, oh, your character then gets to open up a Ghostbusters franchise somewhere else, where there's like, in the future, this franchise, it could be that there's Ghostbuster all around the world. You know what I mean? And they have
Mm-hmm.
they're fighting the ghosts in each city, and it really opens up where this franchise could go next.
Big time.
Yeah.
Do you think if they had like done this like exposition and like made it into this bigger thing before Lady Ghostbusters, people would have still been upset about Lady Ghostbusters?
I mean, if they had done well, okay, so yeah, you're saying like that was
Like
just another
they're just one of the
offshoot.
Ghostbusters teams. Yeah.
100%. It wouldn't have been as bad. Yes, because that was a
Okay.
total reboot.
Yeah.
Whereas I could see them doing this now, like they did with. That's what they did with Charlie's Angels, right? Where like the third one with Kristen Stewart was they kind of revealed later on that there's a bunch of Bosleys and a bunch of angel groups around the
Right.
world, and the
Well,
original like Cameron Diaz and the original like '70s girls were also their own Charlie's Angels groups.
Right.
They existed separately.
And remember, fucking Demi Moore. Spoiler alert for Charlie's Angels. Is a angel gone rogue. She's an
Right.
evil angel. Yeah.
So you could have evil Ghostbusters at some point too.
Maybe Demi Moore and Kristen Stewart. Yeah.
And good ghosts,
Charlie's
you know?
Busters. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then Slimer could be a good ghost.
Great. And Bill Murray can be in both parts of this.
Dude, they want to make Slimer into a new like spinoff so bad. I know they do. they just can't
going
wait.
back to the well. They know what sold last time, you know?
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're at this whole place. They're showing there's all sorts of things. They show this unit where you put an item in and it extracts the soul from the ghost and like captures it. Then like I said, you see Lucky like doing target practice. And the one thing I wanted to mention is that there's a little ghost target there. The design of it is the exact same thing in this game that I played called Spirits Unleashed. And it's a like the same kind of target practice ghost that they have. So that game is like completely tied into this universe, and that the movie's tied in with that game. So they're really trying to make this a huge franchise. It's all connected. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Even in that game, there's like a whole Frozen Empire DLC that just came out. You know, it's like they're trying to intertwine everything.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was interesting. What else happens at this place, Chris? There's some cool little things.
Yeah, we see. I think we meet a couple of the ghosts, right? That kind of come back later. They have like a little, like a possession ghost that like takes over a lamp, and it'll turn the lamp on and off, and then it'll jump over to like a Roomba, and it'll drive around on the floor, and then it'll jump to that, and that ghost kind of comes back a little later.
Yeah, the possessor ghost. That was my favorite ghost in this movie.
Like it kind of
zips into different objects and like takes it over. And yeah, there's a little ghost zoo. So there's all these like containment things. There's like three or four of them
to describe that. Yeah.
Protected by proton fields. Are like, well, you just hang on to ghosts. There's one that just is this little cute / ugly looking thing, and he spits slime at the window. Then there's one that's just like extremely creepy, and it's a scary ghost. So yeah, they're testing them. This is a whole ghost HQ now.
Yeah. And the brass or bronze? Brass? The
Sure.
little ball, ball that Kumail Nanjiani dropped off. They have that down there too. And that one is like having an effect on the other ghosts down there. And they call it a little ball of hate or the devil's testicle. And I really like those responses because it felt like something from our survey. You know what I mean?
Chris, I did write that down. Should we have people create names for the ball?
Absolutely. Yeah, that one's ready to go. So take a peek at the survey. Give us some more names. For that little ball.
I heard that line and I was like, that sounds like something we would come up with. Like, let's workshop some names for the ball.
Yes.
Devil's Testicle is pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So they throw the ball in the spirit sucker machine. And it gets like overloaded. And yeah, like I think they have to turn it off, right?
What doesn't the power go out in the lab?
Could be.
And this was the scene I was talking about that was like actually a fairly effective scary scene. Because the kids are still down there. Lucky is down there, and Lars is down there. And they're the lights are kind of jumping off, and these ghosts are escaping containment. The ball is super cold, and you still don't quite know all the context of what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else from that scene?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, cool. In the meantime, we get a scene with Paul Rudd and Phoebe having a little moment. She's upset because she can't go ghost busting. And while they're out ghost busting, the rest of them, Phoebe gets a call about some paranormal activity, and she decides she's going to go, and she takes podcast. And
Yeah, they get called to Melody's Diner, which is
that's
where the young ghost girl,
Mhm.
the regular ghost girl, she's like just super cool, is at the diner, and Phoebe hesitates and doesn't want to capture her because she wants to be friends with her.
Yep.
And then the ghost comes to her house after that, later that night, and they kind of hang out again. And this is where they bring up the matches. So she's got this matchbook that's she's like, "Is that your object?" And she's like, "What do you mean my object?" "Oh, it's an emotionally charged object that keeps you tethered to this world." So in this, they're dealing with like the items that get like, if somebody dies wearing it or around it or something like that, they get like connected to it in some way.
Yeah.
I don't really know how it all works. Obviously it's a big messy overall thing to explore, but in her case, she's tethered to this single match in a matchbook, and she can light it and nothing happens. It doesn't go away. And she's basically trying to cross over to the other side this entire time because she wants to be with her family, and she's tired of just living in limbo as a ghost. So yeah, that's the ghost storyline there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Phoebe
and
wants
she
a
also
friend.
shows her
So
around the firehouse, which seems like a terrible idea. And as soon as she leaves, it's kind of confirmed that she's working with, some sort of nefarious. She's a
yeah,
double agent, basically.
she's
Yeah,
working with the monster ghost at this point.
exactly.
Trying to cross over, and she's like, "Do you need her? Does it have to be her?" And the ghost just kind of mumbles something. So basically, she's using Phoebe to unleash this other ghost and help herself cross over to the other side.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I think next, we get the Slimer scene with the Cheetos. Nothing again happens there, and then we go to Kumail's house. His name again is Nadim. They show up at his apartment. He's like, "That money's gone. I've spent that money. No refunds." They're like, "We don't need a refund. We just want to ask you some questions about where you got all this stuff." There's some more funny scenes in here.
I loved they let Kumail and Trevor have this moment, like this connecting moment, where they were talking about how brave it was to be unambitious, and I thought that was so funny. Like,
yeah, he's like, I can't remember it exactly, but the person that goes to college and does all this stuff, the other person that forges their own path and does something different. And he's like, "Yeah, the second one," and he's surprised that he agrees with him there. Yeah,
yeah.
There's also some stuff with like, I don't know, is it like Indian pictures and stuff like that, where there's like pierced nipples and the girl's like, "Ooh, nipple play, nice." And there's like the bronze room where they got the ball out of is like, they're making jokes about it being a sex dungeon and stuff like that. And there's all these like old ancient items in there that they're looking at, chains and whips and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like totally soundproof, and they're like, "Oh, nice, yeah."
Yeah, and at one point, Kumail's like, "Stop making sex jokes about my deceased grandmother," because that's who all this stuff used to belong to.
Right. What else is in that room? They find out this is where the ball came out of. It's just this weird little made out of brass room with all these artifacts and stuff.
Yep, there's a bunch of brass stuff hanging on the walls. There's that like in that opening scene, the woman had like this face covering that's made out of brass, so that's there. And then on the wall, there's a couple big horns, like from a bull.
Right.
And we don't know what those are, but they come back a little bit later.
Yeah. What else?
That's all I had on that scene. Did you have anything else?
No,
Kumail's
that's it there.
delightful. Really loved him in this movie.
He's very funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Him and Patton
Um,
Oswalt were both great adds to this franchise, I think.
yeah. Speaking of, they kind of branch off into two paths here, and there's two things happening simultaneously, and one of them is they take Kumail to see Venkman because they believe they use the oh god, the what am I trying to say? Not the ecto, the little God, I am totally not proton pack, but the ghost thermometer thing.
PKE reader.
PKE, thank you.
Yep.
Well, if one of us forgets, the other one usually remembers. They use it on him, and he is full of energy.
That's the thing that we forget every time. So if you ever get stuck again, I'm just going to guess PKE meter.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
No matter what we're talking about, even if we're onto a different franchise.
Exactly.
Yeah, so he is full of psychic energy, and they're like, we need to take you with us. So that's happening. They take him to Venkman, and then we get Bill Murray here, and he's interviewing him with this little thing on his head and kind of asking him a bunch of silly questions, like trying to see if he's possessed, basically, kind of like Sigourney Weaver in the old movies.
Yep.
And asking him questions like, do you hate dogs or do you want to kill dogs or something like that? Or do you like dogs or do you want to kill dogs? Really just funny questions. And he's like throwing pens at his face to see how he reacts. And like I sort of alluded to earlier, there's like a Bunsen burner on behind him while this is happening. And as Kumail gets, what's that?
Most labs, when you work in a science lab or spend time in a science lab, there's usually just a Bunsen burner going all the time.
Well, of course. How are you going to do science without Bunsen?
Otherwise, it's not even a science lab. Colorful liquid in glass bottles plus a Bunsen burner that's just going.
Bunsen makes me feel good. So the fire's going, and he's getting mad that he keeps throwing this pen at his face and asking him dumb questions, and the fire's like reacting to his anger. So you kind of see there's some kind of connection to the fire. And like I said earlier, at the hot dog stand, he was kind of controlling the fire without knowing it.
Yeah.
When he moved his hands. And then simultaneously, you get a scene at a library, the New York Library, where we meet Patton Oswalt's character. Is there a name for him?
I'm not sure. I didn't catch a name for him, but we get Phoebe and Ray have teamed up to kind of go there. With I think they bring podcasts, don't they? Yeah. And they had basically figured out that podcast had some footage of the orb, and there's some weird language in the audio of this footage that podcast caught. And so they basically go to this language expert at a museum, and they take a motorcycle with a sidecar, and I think that makes any movie better if you put a motorcycle with a sidecar in it.
Oh, definitely.
Right? There's just a fun mode of transport.
I'm into it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chris, did you notice the license plate on this?
Oh, no, I didn't. What is it?
Ecto C, which I believe was the name of the high C drink that we talked about, right?
That's right. The Ecto Cooler. Yeah.
The Ecto C cooler.
They named it after it. That's great.
Another product placement brought to you by this franchise. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a very subtle one.
Yeah.
So like you said, there's ancient language. They take it to a language guy. I think that's the term. And they decipher it. They play it on this really old. Do you know what those are called? It's like a little round thing where it's somehow early recordings, right?
I think those are called Edison cylinders, but I could be wrong.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you get the real lore of this that they throw into. And this is like the first one since the second movie that really gets into like a new lore, because they reused Gozer for the last one. But this does a whole thing where it's this demon called Garaka, and there's like a death chill, and people get literally scared to death. And what else? Did you pick any lore here?
They apparently Garaka was this like super powerful deity, and he like helped some ancient civilization take over a bunch of land, but then that civilization kind of like became stopped trusting him because he was so powerful. And so they ripped off his horns. Garaka had his horns ripped off. And they tell this whole story over like, I kind of like the animation style they used. It was like this rock thing. And so like a I don't know, like you would find in a, like a carving you would find in a tomb or like on a Rosetta Stone kind of a thing, but it's animated. And so you kind of see this whole story of Garaka play out in this like rock animation, which I thought was kind of a nice touch.
Yeah, for sure.
And and so at the end, Garaka was finally captured by someone called a Fire Master, and they trapped Garaka in an orb. And that orb
is the orb we have seen. Yeah,
that's right. It's basically just one of the ghost traps that the Ghostbusters have been using through all these movies. It's an ancient one.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even pick up on that. That's like an ancient ghost trap.
Yeah.
They keep saying the better question is what's inside of it. What did you say they meant to what?
I think they mentioned that. That is, I wasn't able to make that connection, or I think the movie made that connection for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so they also find out that there's whatever text that they're saying or whatever words have been saying. What am I trying to say? That the ghost had on the recording. There's basically some kind of chant that you need to say.
Like an incantation.
Yes. So you say this line and a human needs to say it in order for this ball to open and the ghost to be let out. So this recording has the chant on it and they're listening to it. And right at the last moment, the possessor ghost, the tiny little, it's just like a red, like it just zips across a little red thing. It doesn't have a form really, but it possesses things, and it possesses the actual recording device thing and hops into a trash bag and runs out of the library. Now the next couple minutes is like fan service again. They're running through the old library from the first movie, the opening scene of the first movie, and then there's the gray lady, the old librarian lady ghost from the very first scene of any
the very first movie. Yeah, exactly.
And she's just in the library, shushes on like. To me, see, this is kind of my issue with the girl at the chess, playing chess, the real girl. It's like these ghosts just are casually hanging out now all the time. You know what I mean? Whereas before it'd be like it's only happening when I guess there's spiritual presence awakening in this moment. But they're kind of making it seem like this ghost is just always there. Is it always there, or how come they keep running into her? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I mean, that ghost didn't get trapped in the first movie, right?
I guess not. Well, did they trap her? They must have.
She puked on everybody.
She puked on everybody.
I feel dumb. I can't remember this.
I feel like it's the first ghost they ever trap is her. But it does make sense that it would have gotten out at this point, maybe because Slimer got out. I don't know. Slimer was never captured. I don't know what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff really matters. I was kind of like, this is more just fan service. Hey, remember this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Didn't need to be in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that happens, and then they go outside. They chase this thing outside of the library, and it goes into the lion statue that's out front. Iconic statue.
Yeah. So the trash bag is running because of the possessor ghost. They see the trash bag by this giant statue, but the possessor ghost has left the trash bag and now it's in the lion statue.
Yeah.
Did that make sense? Did that make any fucking sense?
Yeah, this possessor thing, it just zips into anything that it's near and it can possess it and take it over. And it goes in the statue. The statue comes alive. They bust it. What else happens?
Well, they fucking destroy it. So this giant iconic statue from in front of the library is just a pile of rocks at this point. And
it explodes, and then the cops are there, and it like crashes onto cop cars and stuff, and now they're in trouble again.
That's right.
They didn't notice that this giant statue had come to life and that they were trying to help things. Again, the Ghostbusters are in trouble for it.
Yeah. The mayor is so rock hard over this. He's so excited because he's going to get to shut down the Ghostbusters. The underage one who is like not being paid destroyed an iconic New York statue, so he's going to finally get to shut down these good for nothing busters.
These damn busters. Yeah, so that's what they do. They basically say that you can't bust anymore. There's some scenes with Ray and Winston saying that, it's time to retire, man. You could have got these kids killed, all this stuff. Even though they all know that this is happening, it's building, something's happening again right now,
Yeah.
Who else are you going to call? And then it shows them going back to the firehouse, and they're like, I guess this is our last night, and they're all upset about it. And Paul Rudd has a couple moments of saying this, like, who are you going to call? He's kind of reciting the song in like the way Paul Rudd would do it. I don't know how to describe it. He says, bustin' makes me feel good. It does. It just makes me feel good. He says them like matter of fact, like lines from the song, matter of fact.
Very charming.
Oh, good old Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, Yeah.
And it's just kind of setting that up, and let's see. They're trying to teach Kumail is there. They bring him back, and they're like, who's this guy? Trying to teach him how to control the fire. They figure out that he is this fire master from the ancient lore.
That's right.
Who is a protector of whatever. What's his name? Draka?
Garaka.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what else we got?
It was his grandmother that captured Garaka in that orb in the first place in the opening scene. Anything else here? I thought it was weird that he's like, Kumail's like 35 at least, right? 40? And he never had noticed, he'd never noticed that he could control fire like that.
Well, I know. There's a lot of plot holes in this movie. I'm assuming that it's just, it doesn't activate until,
till you need it.
There's something
kind of one of those things
happening. Like there's ghostly presence is increasing, they say, at some point in this movie throughout the city. So the fact that this ball has escaped out of the brass room. Somebody mentioned, I read just like right before we started here on IMDb, that they could have brought this ball back to this brass room and that would have contained it, I guess.
Okay.
Because the brass was used to contain the ball. So now that the ball is out of this room, and maybe the characters haven't realized that really. Now that it's bringing upon all this ghostly stuff by being out of there.
Right.
Anyway, so maybe that's what's causing his fire powers to reemerge as well. Anyway.
Okay. A lot of plot lines,
yes.
So there's a lot of things to be curious about here. We get a moment here. Again, it's their last night in the firehouse because they're getting kicked out. Paul Rudd has a moment where he thinks he's like being a good supportive father figure to Phoebe, but Phoebe's not even there. She's off with her ghost girlfriend. And this time she's brought the girl to the new lab where the orb is. And that seems like a bit of an oopsie.
Big time.
She's like,
the only person that gets me is a ghost.
No, I'm so emo. Yeah. But she brings her to this lab, and her big plan is to really connect with this friend by getting her spirit, removing her own spirit from her body for a couple minutes with that machine that they've got, so then they can hang out ghost to ghost. Super tight, right?
Yeah. So she's so lonely. She pulls her own spirit out of her body for 2 minutes, and then she's going to go back into her body. So she goes in the unit. Yeah.
Did you think at this point that the other girl was going to steal her body? Because that's what I thought was going to happen.
I didn't think that, no. But
okay.
I don't know if I knew what I was thinking during that moment, but
that's fair.
I don't remember thinking that. That would have been an interesting plot, though.
Right? I didn't think that she was a ghost and like somebody else was in her body. That'd be a weird little. Be kind of a fun little plot.
I didn't know where it was going to go. There's a lot of
Mhm.
exposition in the next like 2 minutes about why this is all happening.
Yeah.
But I knew she was somehow double crossing her, that you shouldn't be. Obviously, it's a bad idea to take the soul out of your body or whatever. um, so yeah, so apparently during this scene, she comes out of her body, and they're like, "Hey, we can be ghost friends for a minute." And she's like, "I'm sorry, I had to do this to you." And she gets controlled by Garaka. Her eyes kind of light up,
Yep. And
and
Garaka can
apparently
control spirits, and since she's just a spirit now, she's completely.
it
She,
needs a
you know,
human. It needs a human voice for one, but Garaka can't control a human, so it had to use this other ghostly girl to get at Phoebe to, I guess, take her body out of her soul out of her body. Like this was the plan all along to get
this
her.
was the whole plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're basically like, oh, we got this lonely girl. We know we can get her to, like, you make friends with her and she'll want to become a ghost. It's a pretty detailed plan, but it works out.
I mean, Garaka's had a long time to think about it, right?
That's true. Oh man, long time.
Mhm.
So yeah, she then recites the phrase or whatever, the chant, and the ball opens and Garaka appears.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah,
Lucky
how
shows
would you
up.
describe this thing?
Garaka? Oh man, I don't know. It kind of reminded me of like the bad guy in the second Thor movie, but like Kate Winslet's character or Kate Blanchett's character.
Kate
Kate
Blanchett.
Blanchett's character. It's just with huge horns, like really dark
Yeah.
colors. Very ominous villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't give
Kinda,
Baraka a ton to do in this movie. I wish that,
right.
that we'd seen a bit more of that, but I don't know. I thought the character design was pretty good.
Gozer had a lot more personality, and same with Viggo. Although Gozer's not really in the first movie that much. But yeah, so it's this big, God, I don't even know what to call it. It's almost like a skeleton-y looking thing, but it's massive, kind of shadowy figure with long fingernails and a long face. And right at the last second, Lucky shows up and tries to bust it, and it doesn't work. It freezes the proton pack stream. So
it turns into like ice and falls to the ground and shatters, kind of Terminator 2 style. That breaks apart. So Garaka heads to Kumail's apartment and grabs his horns. So now he is complete again, because the horns had been in the brass room.
It also stops by a place called Firemaster Smoke and Vape, which I loved. Just a store called Firemaster Smoke and Vape. They're like, let's add this joke in there, and kills the guy because he's like, "Are you the Firemaster?" And he's like, "Yeah, didn't you read the sign, bro?"
Read the sign.
Kills him, and then we get the city freezing over, basically. So it's kind of like an Ice Age looking thing. And this whole scene, unfortunately, was like, it was the entire trailer for this movie was like this scene at the beach where the spikes are kind of closing in on the city. It was like an extended trailer with that scene in it, and it's so far deep into the movie, it's like you shouldn't be showing that. But I guess they want to show where we're headed.
That's their big CGI moment. That's what they're trying to show off for sure.
And nobody dies. They're all running down the beach, but all these giant ice spikes are coming up, and
nobody seems that cold either.
There was some things I wrote down as well, like some people freeze, some people don't at different parts at the end. Yeah, the end of this movie is a little crazy. There's a lot going on. I'm going to try to break it down as best we can.
After that big storm, they have a kind of a funny little joke where they're like, but it's okay because we have the Fire Master. And then it's Kumail like really struggling to light a candle with a lighter, like with his little power. It's just like so unimpressive and like such a shitty little skill. And everybody's like, oh well, all right. And we also get a little bit of a rundown. There's some like metallurgy going on in this movie with the brass thing. And inside the firehouse, all the fire poles are made out of brass. So they have a bunch of brass on hand. And so
and there's a quick montage of them like cutting the fire poles, right? But did this get used at all?
Yeah, they used the brass on to modify one of the proton packs.
That's what that was.
That metal is like resistant to the cold or something. It's the thing that can attack the Garaka character.
Okay.
And that's why they were able to defeat him.
Because I noticed the proton pack. It's like it had like a little green tinge to it, like it was a different color than the other ones.
Yep.
And I was just like, why is it like that? Somehow I missed that on both viewings.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot going on and there's a lot of characters here. Basically it all kind of culminates at the firehouse and there's like 10 people there. Slimer makes another quick appearance. And has no purpose again, but he's there. What happens? Oh yeah, what happens? The possessor possesses the car. It kind of backs them up into the back of the room. Then it possesses a proton pack, and is about to shoot Finn Wolfhard with it. But this is where the Firemaster, at the last second, right as it shoots it, he is able to control the proton pack, which I guess is fire. And like shoots it out of the way so it doesn't hurt Finn Wolfhard's character. And that's like the moment where he realizes, oh, I do have this power. And then the possessor goes into a pizza and jumps out of the pizza box and Slimer eats it. Totally crazy.
So random. Yeah.
We also get, Bill Murray then shows up as well at the last time. And now we got all the 3 Ghostbusters. We got the British guy. We got all the new characters, all 4 of the Spanglers, Podcast, and Lucky. Is there anyone else? Janine.
I think I saw Leslie Jones in the background in one of these shots.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig was there. Melissa McCarthy.
Yep. Rick Moranis is uncredited, and he's just there too.
Really funny fart joke from Melissa McCarthy in there. Rick Moranis. Yeah, Janine is in uniform.
And Bebop and Rocksteady from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are there. The whole gang, really.
Literally the whole gang is there. A lot of busting attempts happens. Some jokes. Bill Murray has a couple good lines. Tall, dark, and horny at 12 o'clock. Another ruined by the trailer. I'm kind of like, after this movie, I'm like, I need to stop watching trailers.
Oh yeah, I didn't watch the trailer, and I love that joke.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else happens here? Anything of note?
Well, this is kind of where Garaka himself shows up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he can freeze the beams like we saw with Lucky's beam earlier. And then Kumail fire poles in, even though I thought they destroyed the fire pole for the brass.
Good point.
Anyway, it might be a continuity thing, or I'm just being overly picky.
I think there might be more than one fire pole too. So
maybe you're right. Maybe that's it. Okay. Kumail fire poles in, wearing his all of his grandmother's stuff, and he's about to try and fire dance him or something.
Well, he goes down the pole, and it's it's a moment where it stops for comedy because Garaka's right there in their face, about to kill everybody, and their proton packs didn't work, and then it's just like, stop for comedy. Here comes him down the fire pole slowly,
in slow motion.
Yeah. And there's a good 2 minutes of just them making jokes, and it's kind of some more comedy stuff while Garaka's just sitting there, not just destroying them instantly.
Yes.
But it's a comedy movie, so whatever.
Yeah. And I think it did the balance better than in some of the other movies in this franchise have. I think the funny parts were funnier and the scary parts were scarier.
Yeah.
Which is great. Let's see. We get the portal. There's a portal that opens over frozen New York, and a bunch of ghosts start escaping.
I wish there would have been more scenes of New York, but it shows some of the city freezing over and stuff like that, and it does. again, like Bill Murray just kind of wanders over to the firehouse, totally unharmed. And then some people are freezing, some people aren't outside. I don't really know. It's very messy with the freezing rules. Even inside, some people freeze and some people don't, and I wasn't sure why.
It seems to just be whatever they need for the plot and whatever looks cool. Like those two things, like that is the rule, yeah. So Phoebe enters with her customized brass pack. And like Tanner said, the color's a little different. And this is the one that she kind of modified to attack Garaka. And Kumail can't get his light power to work because his lighter is dead because he was practicing lighting that candle for too long in the scene before.
All the fuel's gone.
Yeah, so he doesn't have fire, and it looks like the Ghostbusters are at their end. But the little girl ghost, or not little girl, she's like a normal age girl. The girl ghost that Phoebe's friends with kind of changes her mind, and she uses that one last match, her little possession item. She lights it, and Kumail is able to use his firepower, which melts Phoebe, and then together the two of them are able to kind of trap him, and they have a drone trap. There's a million things happening here.
Yeah, they make every single person have a moment in this scene, which is it's too much, but every single person has their moment. Even they all get together and there's only one proton pack with the brass, but they all get together and hold it, so they're all doing it at the same time. The whole family,
the whole damn
podcast tries the RC unit or whatever, the drone, and then again gets attacked by a Stay Puft Marshmallows while doing it.
Why not?
He just can't rid them. Yeah. Janine's in there. They're all just doing a part of it, and then the actual Ghostbusters, or the old ones, go downstairs and to the containment unit and try to, all at the same time. It's all culminating. They're all doing their own part, and they suck up the monster for good, right? Oh no, Kumail is also burning the thing, which is really what's helping, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I wrote fire plus bustin equals death.
Ooh, a math equation. I love it. But they suck. Don't they suck the Garaka into the containment unit in the basement? That's his final resting place at the end of this movie. And then we just get a bunch of kind of wrap up stuff. The girl, for her good deed, is able to pass over. New York City kind of thaws out. The mayor shows up and has to change his tune and say that they're heroes. And we get a Ray Parker song appearance, and they all celebrate. Phoebe calls Paul Rudd dad, which is a little closure on that storyline. And,
there's a big New York celebration again outside with the media and all that, and it's they literally walk out of the firehouse and it's already all there. The entire city, the media, the mayor.
Nobody went home to get a warm cup of coffee after being frozen solid. Yeah. They just went straight to Ghostbusters HQ to yell at them when they walked out.
And the Peck is already just he immediately was oh, I can't wait to put them away. That he starts to and then the media, he kind of gets cornered by the media and them, and has to agree to letting the Ghostbusters do whatever they want in the moment. But even then, he still just wants to arrest the Ghostbusters. It frustrates me so mad, that little plot. But I guess that's why he's a villain. Yeah. And then Slimer and the dragon escape. I don't know why or how, but they escape and they're off busting immediately.
That's right. Few credits, and then there's a little thing over the last one for Ivan. So maybe we'll get a new Ghostbusters every time one of the classic Ghostbuster people dies, and they can put their little name at the end. It's 2 in a row now.
We'll get one for only each of the remaining members, yes, and then it's done. Once each, after everyone that dies, we'll make a new movie. Yes. Mm-hmm. We got the Ramus, we got the Reitman. Next up, maybe Murray. No.
Don't you
sorry.
be doing that.
Sorry. Janine then.
Don't put that voodoo on her either.
I'll say them all, so I'm clean.
Maybe Slimer. How about Slimer?
Slimer. Oh, the
That
death
won't
of
piss anybody
Slimer.
off. The death of
Ghostbusters, the death of Slimer. Um, then we get a little post-credit scene at the end. That's just, it's just kind of for fun, I guess. There's a trucker, who stops and getting feedback here. There's a trucker who stops at a rest stop and he's trying to get a soda, and then his truck starts moving, and it's a Stay Puft Marshmallow truck, and you see that they stole his semi truck full of Stay Puft marshmallows. And they're just doing their little antics. They're burning each other's faces with the cigarette lighter in the cab. And yeah, so I guess alluding to the fact maybe in the next one we're going to get an entire truckload army full of these guys. Every marshmallow in the entire universe will be taken over, which is just a nightmare.
the Stay Puftiverse.
Yeah, so that's what happens there. I don't know. It doesn't really connect. Like the final scenes in the last movie were definitely setting up this sequel here. And this one is just a totally for fun tag at the end. Maybe they're kind of like, we don't want to leave it too open-ended in case we don't get another sequel greenlit.
Right.
Then we can just kind of be stuck here. And I'm not sure it will get another sequel greenlit. We'll see. The box office so far is like 109 million on a $100 million budget, but that's only 10 days, so lots of time. I think it's a little disappointing. Opening weekend was good. Second weekend had the Godzilla movie, which was also another Empire movie. This was Frozen Empire, and this is like Godzilla Kong, the new Empire, opening back-to-back weekends, which is just strange. And it's also like a fifth sequel or whatever.
Yeah.
But it got kind of hurt by it. It's a very similar kind of crowd would go to that movie, I feel like. So bad timing on opening on this. And I know that Frozen Empire here was supposed to release during the strike or like around Christmas last year, which I think it would have done a lot better.
Yeah.
And it got pushed back.
This should come out. It would be nice around Halloween because it's spooky, but also this would be like a fun holiday movie because you could see this with your family.
Definitely. It would have been perfect during that time. That was a big time for the box office too. And I don't know if there was much else big action-y thing like that. Plus there's Dune out there with another PG-13. They're all PG-13 like action sci-fi-ish movies all at the same within like 3 or 4 weeks of each other.
Sure.
So this one got a little bit buried by that, I do believe. We'll see what happens. I noticed that internationally it's only made like 30 million because it hasn't come out in a lot of countries. So we'll see. I don't know why they did that with the release date. Maybe the strikes fucked it all up. But we'll see. I kind of do want more.
Or maybe there is a better like release window coming up in other countries that they're shooting for. You know what I mean? Like once Dune dies down a little bit, maybe they're hoping they can kind of move in on that.
The thing is, I don't think the word of mouth is great on this. It didn't get it got like a 45 on Rotten Tomatoes, 45%, but the audience score is like 85%.
Yeah.
So like, it seems like a lot of the fans liked it. I talked to one friend of mine who immediately was just like, that movie was so bad. And I was like instantly like, oh fuck, did I like that movie? Was I wrong? Spoiler alert.
Was nice.
I like this movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even watching it again, I was like laughing along, and I think I guess we usually go into this right now. Yeah, I think the movie was funnier than any of the other Ghostbusters since the first one overall.
Yeah.
Maybe 2016 it had a lot more jokes. And maybe it was like better written humor, like actually funnier jokes overall, or there's more of them.
It was a more
or less
comedy movie.
Yes. But it didn't hit any of the Ghostbusters like as much of the Ghostbustering notes as I wanted.
Sure.
And like I talked about, number 2 just like fell flat all around. And Afterlife was pretty thin on the actual joke front, even though I thought it did a good job of being a Ghostbusters movie. And I liked all the characters and I enjoyed watching it. But this one was actually funnier.
Yeah.
Because I felt like they were able to just do whatever they wanted to now. They could go off and make some new lore, and intertwine everything. I would just say that it's way too overstuffed with characters. The ending was like just kind of a mess because it was like because there's so many people and so many things happening.
Yeah.
And they waited a long time before the Frozen shit happened. Um, but overall, I enjoyed it a fair amount. Chris,
Yeah.
you liked it too?
I thought this movie was good. Yeah. I thought it was funny. I thought it did good work with the CGI that it used. There were moments that were where they played up the horror that I thought were pretty effective. It hits a lot of the Ghostbusters lore stuff. Yeah, like you said, it's there's way too many characters. Like, why did they bring Lucky from Oklahoma back here? Like, you didn't need her character. Why did they introduce a new character that's working in the lab? You didn't need him. Like, why? Like, they did actually, I thought, a pretty admirable job of giving all of these characters subplots and storylines that they followed through on, and most of the characters had like a development arc, except Finn Wolfhard. Sorry, Finn. And I don't know. I thought it was impressive how many things they were able to juggle and still make a fun, entertaining Ghostbusters movie. I found this movie I didn't like the last movie. I could end that sentence right there, but I'll say I didn't like the last movie nearly as much, and I thought that this one improved across the board. And putting it back in New York City, I think made it feel a lot more like a Ghostbusters movie for me, because the last one did not feel like a Ghostbusters movie to me in quite the same way. I thought it was fun. It was it's not groundbreaking because they're still referencing a movie that came out in 1984, which was what, 40 years ago now.
Yep.
So there's still constant references to a movie from 40 years ago, but I think that they managed to juggle that amongst all these other elements in a much more effective way on this one. So yeah, the 45% critical score is kind of surprising to me, because I did think that this movie was pretty well put together. That it's funny, it's silly, it's scary, it's stupid, it's, I don't know, it's a good watch. A
lot of people said it was like not funny, like too serious and stuff like that, and I kind of didn't feel that way. So a lot of people that probably didn't even watch Afterlife, or like we're watching them all in order, so it does change your perspective on all these things. And definitely. I'm probably putting them up against other ones I've seen recently, and like I'm comparing and contrasting based on where I'm at in this our watch through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a totally different thing. Like our friend Bud, I'll just shout him out. He's the one who said he didn't like it, and he hadn't seen any of them at all. I think only the first original movie, and he just saw it because he had nothing else to do in Scottsdale, and like was there 10 hours earlier than us. And I think looking at it from a different perspective.
Yeah. And if you came to this movie after watching Dune 2, this movie might feel corny and stupid and like, like not like a sci-fi epic in the same way. But if you come to this from Afterlife, I think it builds on a lot of the things that Afterlife did well. And I think it learns a lot from the mistakes that Afterlife made. For me, at least, that was kind of how I felt watching this movie. I think go.
Sorry. Yeah. Just that. Yeah. We're watching it from a completely different perspective of it. Well, like wanting to explore this franchise and being a lover of the original movie and overall a lover of the franchise, and wanting it to succeed and hoping that, like maybe with Star Wars or something, like everyone just please release something good that I like in this franchise. Like, please release another one.
Yeah.
Please. So I don't know. I think you said in the first movie that it felt so inspired. And I really was hooking on that throughout. Like the second one was just totally uninspired. And like the 2016 really wasn't inspired that much. It had funny writers and funny people in it, so it succeeded on a lot of just joke level stuff. But it wasn't Ghostbusters inspired. And then the last one felt a little bit just flat as well. Like they're really trying to hard to just connect these pieces and be like adoring and make the fans happy because we love this movie so much. It's so just sacred to us. And this one, I felt like they have some of that for sure, but they're more just like, we need to just do our own thing, do a new thing, right?
Yeah.
And they were able to just
and where it
do
fits,
something
we can
different.
put the fan service in, but it's not built around the fan service the same way the last one was. Yeah.
I think the movie would have been just as good, if not better, without you take out some of the Stay Puft stuff. You take out maybe even Slimer, although Slimer's innocuous. He's just kind of there. You take out a few of the little moments that they spread in that were just unnecessary fan service, and it would have been even better. Because you don't need it. You need to just have you can use the same IP, but have a breath of fresh air in there. You know what I mean? Like if somebody has a great idea for it, just do it. We don't need to overload it with other stuff, because if it's good, people will like it.
And
anyway.
hopefully the franchise has gotten to a point where they can kind of do that now, because Ernie has this big Ghostbusters corp now. So you could have like,
well, this is what I was going to ask you. Where do you think they should go from here?
I mean, I don't know that we're done with the Spanglers yet. I would watch another movie with them. I would also like less of the old Ghostbusters. I'm kind of like ready for this to move beyond Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd. But I think they could do lots of different things with it. And I think setting up that, Ernie's business, I think is a real way that they could connect a lot of different elements story wise. What would you like to see after this?
I don't know. I thought about maybe like some kind of prestige TV show, or some kind of TV show where it's another Ghostbusters franchise, like in another city, like a franchisee kind of thing.
Hell yeah.
And you just have them all over the country, all over the world, and there's different units of Ghostbusting stuff that, it's like basically like it in the future could turn into something where the world has, cops, firemen, and Ghostbusters, or, or like exterminators or whatever you want, every town's got one. So maybe they're even like government employees or something. I don't even know. And you're not like fighting with bureaucracy the entire time. It just is like a known fact, and you need some kind of Ghostbuster. But yeah, I don't know. Some kind of TV show with a different group of people completely
really
busting
like that
ghosts.
idea. I really like the idea of a TV show. And I think this movie we watched this week would have been even better served as like an 8-part HBO thing or something, because you could have actually given more oxygen to all these storylines that they were trying to juggle.
Yeah, you could do like the whole lore with Kumail's family and his dynamic with his grandma, and then meeting them, all sorts of stuff like that.
What if it was Kumail and Trevor just celebrating mediocrity as the two Ghostbusters? It's like a buddy cop movie.
That's great. Just
call it as hell.
Trevor.
Yeah. Trevor.
I don't know. I don't know if I want it. Like I do and I don't. I think it. Like I said, I like this movie. I'm weary of any of these things turning into, a Star Wars style thing where it just becomes like,
impossible
just
to follow.
crap.
It's so big. Yeah.
Yeah, and just turning out crappy show after crappy show. I think it is owned by Disney, which is it owned by Disney? Maybe not. Sony. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know who would be the best hands to have it in, anyways. But those like all the Marvel and Star Wars things, it's become too much, and it's been milked to death.
Yes.
To the point where we're not even going to touch it. It's so far gone. But the Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
I know you're big on that.
Yeah.
But the Ghostbusters is still right in that zone where it could take off to that level, although I don't know if it's going to be a huge enough of a hit to do so. I do think it'll do something else in the next few years, but we'll see. I think a TV show would be perfect for it, as long as they, again, focus on just the whole thing with these things is these franchises, please focus on quality over quantity, and just find somebody who's inspired and excited to do it rather than just getting it out or whatever. So those are my pleads to Ghost Corps or and Sony, whoever
Ghost
owns
Corps.
it. Yeah. So Sony, Sony needs help anyway. They've got the Madam Web series and Morbius verse. So yeah. So that's yeah. I don't know. What else can we talk about with this as far as like where it could go? Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of two minds. Like, I think they did a good job, like, setting the table for pretty much any type of sequel, but also, like, sometimes less is more. And this, I don't know, like, I'd be fine if we went 5 years without another Ghostbusters movie, and yeah. So, but yeah, I think this franchise is too valuable. Like, it's not gonna be a dry spell for too long,
The next sequel should wait a bit of time, have the same actress, and she's kind of the lead, and then Paul Rudd in there just because he's Paul Rudd, or not even, maybe just her busting ghosts with like a new group of people, because she really is kind of the star of the movie, if you could nail one down.
She's the emotional core of this movie.
And the best part of the last movie by far, like, he was actually able to stand out a little bit more in the last one because there's less people. But yeah, pare down all these people you introduce now. You don't need to bring Kumail back, even though he was great, because if his connection to this monster is all he is there for, right? But you have another new lore, another just do something new again. Maybe keep some of the characters, but not all of them. Like you said, maybe ditch the old guys. But they're not going to, I don't know, they're not going to just ditch him without giving him a send-off. I thought maybe they would kill off one or two of them in this one, just to keep passing it along, and have some emotional substance to the film a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Chris, I think it's time. I think it's time we rank the movies.
God, we've been to pull back the curtain. Tanner and I have been texting back and forth today because I think both of us are. I think I've got my list to where I'm happy with it, but this is the hardest ranking franchise we've ever done by far. It's not even close.
Oh, by far. Yeah, I mean, we did Indiana Jones. There might be a few tough choices in there, but like nothing like too crazy. Maybe we swap one or two of them around. Jaws was like way too easy. A lot of them were just in order.
In order. The best one is the first one, and they get progressively shittier. But
Jaws, Highlander, I Know What You Did Last Summer, RoboCop, those all were in order, basically. And the other ones are like not that meaningful of a ranking, but this one is rough. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
Oh my gosh. I can start.
Go for it.
Okay, so I think we're going to agree. Number one, Ghostbusters, 1984.
2016. Oh, yeah.
The iconic, the
original.
gold standard, right? Number 1.
100%, yes.
Okay, and then from here, I have a very clear number 2, and then the other 3 are all kind of together for me.
List them out. Hit me with it.
Okay, so for me, Ghostbusters 1984. Then number 2 was this movie, Frozen Empire. I thought was far and away better than the other 3. After Frozen Empire, I put Lady Ghostbusters, Answer the Call, as number 3. And then Ghostbusters 2 at number 4. And then I thought that the worst of the bunch is Afterlife, which is the first with this group of characters. Yeah,
you seem to not like that one very much.
I did not care for the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm similar.
Okay.
My second one, is also this one as well, Frozen Empire. And I couldn't believe I was sitting there like, is this my second favorite Ghostbuster movie? Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? I was like really struggling with it. I was like, should I put number 2 in there? Like, do I like number 2 more than any of these other ones just because it's like...
Just because it's fucking Bill Murray. Yeah.
Yeah, just because I had that nostalgia for it, and I thought I liked it as a kid a lot more, but I really tore it apart when we watched it.
You did, yeah.
And I'm like, I just couldn't do it, but I didn't want to put it the last one either because I don't know. So yeah, I got Ghostbusters 1, Frozen Empire 2. I put Afterlife as number 3.
Okay.
I did 2 as 4 and 2016 as 5.
Okay.
And I think I came to that because when I think back at 2016's Ghostbusters, the Lady Ghostbusters, it doesn't feel like a Ghostbusters movie, and it makes me like, it doesn't make me want to watch it ever again, I guess. Whereas
Sure.
Afterlife and Frozen Empire, it makes me feel warm and cozy in a maybe nostalgic way, I guess. And while it may not, like, I definitely laughed a bunch during 2016 and thought it was
Yeah.
funnier than Ghostbusters 2, it just still doesn't feel like it. And I don't know. I really struggled with this, though. I spent like 45 minutes doing this, Chris. I mean, I was like looking up stuff like trailers from the movies and being like, okay, what do I remember? Do I like this? Does this make me feel anything?
Yeah.
I was looking at other people's rankings and being like, no, like that can't be. And I wanted to just dunk on 2 and put it at the end, but I think just the lack of like 2016 doesn't make me feel any which way. So I think that's why I put it there.
I think that's totally fair. Yeah. Yeah. And for me, like Janusz, like there were characters in 2 that I enjoyed. So
Yeah.
I put it above Afterlife. And for me, Afterlife just didn't feel like a Ghostbusters movie because it wasn't set in New York. And I hated like how the old Ghostbusters swooped in at the end, and then they had a bunch of CGI Harold Ramis. Like I just did not care for a bunch of the stuff that came out of that one. But like I said, for me, there was a very clear number 1. There was a very clear number 2, and then the other 3 movies I think are all below the line that I would recommend them to someone else. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think 1 and Frozen Empire are both like I would happily recommend them to someone, and then the other 3 I think are below that line for me.
Yep. Yeah. I still can't believe that I thought this was the second best one, but I think I'm there. And I'm looking all around and everyone else seems to think that's a crazy thing, you know, after talking to my other friend who didn't like it. And I was just like, is this bad? I don't know. I mean, it's not like an amazing movie. It's not the first movie, but it was the most fun I've had since the first movie, I think.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
And
it had me hooked from that opening scene when they were chasing a dragon with the gunner seat and the drone trap. I was like, dude, this shit, man. Like they're using all the old Ghostbusters stuff, but they're adding little bits to it in a way that's like making this opening really fun. And I don't know, it had me hooked pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah, they went for they just tried to do something new with it a little bit, which I liked. Yeah. So wow, there it is, Chris. We did
I'm a little surprised we both agreed that this was the second best one, but
I was not sure. You were like, I thought you were gonna shit all over it. I wasn't sure because you didn't like the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know if I was kind of hoping for a little bit of drama there between the two of us, some fighting, maybe some rage quitting here, but it didn't happen.
I can get really angry if you want.
Please. Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Yes. No,
how's that?
That was just weird, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, I won't do that.
Yeah, no. Well, that's the movie. That's our rankings, the Ghostbuster franchise. We are wrapping up. Well, actually, we got a little bit more milk here, don't we? Okay. Before we tie it up, we're done with the movies. But we're gonna go into the milk portion, which is some of the other IP and media that go along with these franchises. I'm gonna start because I think yours is gonna be better than mine, Chris.
Okay.
Mine's pretty quick. I did want to just shout out. I didn't get to watch any of them because there's too many, but there's a ton of fan films for this franchise. Like people love the shit. There's like 10 like independently filmed short films that are like Ghostbusters movies. And I just went down this wormhole. I found one and I was like, oh, this sounds fun. I'll watch this. And then there was like 15 more, and I couldn't choose which one to watch. So
Yeah.
I just got overwhelmed. But they're out there, and it kind of just shows how much people really like this franchise.
Yeah.
But let's see. I played the newest game in the Ghostbusters franchise. It's called Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, and it came out in 2019. And it's what they call an asymmetrical multiplayer game. So it's 1 versus 4.
Okay.
So you have 4 human players and 1 ghost player, and you get 4 Ghostbusters playing against 1 person that is a ghost. And there's all these. You start off. There's a lot of lore. You get some of Dan Aykroyd. You get some new people in there, and you're at the firehouse, new recruit, and all that stuff. It starts off kind of slow for me. I was like, oh, is this the whole thing? You're busting ghosts, but you're entering with like live players. There's a pretty good community of people that still play it. Pretty popular game. It was well reviewed and everything. Pretty fun. Yeah, so you're just going around trying to catch this ghost with 3 other strangers, or friends, if you have friends, which I do not. No friends that own the game,
buddy.
at least.
Remember we talked about that, so we don't have to be friends with ghosts.
Well, you need to get this game, and we'll play it for the rest of your life.
Okay, that's great.
But yeah, so you team up with them, you try to bust ghosts, you do all the things, you trap, you get them in your thing, you can upgrade all your stuff, customize your guy. Very basic, just running around a room. There's people and trying to catch this ghost. And there's just people in the whatever level you're at that get scared, and you try to get them to not be scared. If the ghost scares all the people out of the building, then you have it comes down to, it's like you got 30 seconds to catch this ghost, or you lose and the ghost wins.
Gotcha.
So it's just a bunch of matches like that over and over again. You get XP. And I was kind of like, this is fine. But then you get to play as the ghost after you play a few rounds and you level up. Then they're like, all right, now you can play as the ghost. And that was super fun. Because I'm just like, you can possess any object in the game, like a coffee pot or a slippery when wet sign or whatever. And that's where you hide from the people, and then you can come out of it. You go around trying to scare the humans out of the building, like I mentioned. And you slime the players to slow them down. You can unleash a little bit of ghosts or some special moves. And it's super fun just being sneaky and kind of wreaking havoc on these players and trying not to get caught.
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
And I wish that they had used possession more in the earlier movies. It's just such a fun.
Yes.
It's such a fun little ghost element that you get to do. It's yeah.
That possessor ghost in this movie was cool, and it does feel like you're playing as one of those, sort of, although it has more of a physical form in the game. But yeah, it's super fun playing as the ghost. I really enjoyed it. And there's even they just had a Frozen Empire tie-in, so it's still a game that people are playing, and it's pretty cool. So
great. Yeah,
that's what I got. Yeah. That's my milk. I played so many Ghostbusters games. Obviously,
what's the final count?
Oh, I wanted to say 12 or 13. I don't have it here, but a ton of them. I played only a few of them all the way through. And the Ghostbusters video game now is up on our YouTube, so check that out. Milking the franchise. Yeah, that's what I got.
Great, love it. Yeah, let's see. I've read some different things for this. I read a Ghostbusters history book, called How Ghostbusters Slimed Us Forever. I read a graphic novel of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Ghostbusters, and this week I decided to go as far as this franchise would let us go, because there was some weird shit that goes along with Ghostbusters that I've never seen before, books wise. So the first one that I dove into, there is a Ghostbusters cookbook that came out in support of Oh, rats. Was it this one or the last one?
Afterlife, I think. Yeah.
It was after Afterlife. Okay, great. And overall, the cookbook is pretty basic. Like it's just like normal recipes, but it'll be like, Venkman's chili corn dogs, or like it's just kind of like a cookbook, but then they put some like Ghostbusters dressing over the top, and a bunch of the recipes looked like a lot of work, and also like I can't get all the normal groceries that I normally would be able to do in the United States, and so one of the things that I made, they had a recipe in there for something called Firehouse Chili on the Go, and it's basically chili in a bag of chips. But I can't buy Fritos down here, but they have these little triangular chips called Tostacos that are very good, and so I made it with Tostacos. Extra salty, extra delicious. It's kind of like
you made some chili and threw it in a bag of chips.
Pretty much, yep.
Nice.
It's kind of like the cheesy Takis that we were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Way back. Yeah. And then they had something called Ecto Juice, which was basically it's just like sugar and orange juice, lemon juice, sparkling water, grenadine. It was fine. It was just like a virgin drink with ice. So I had that with my Firehouse chili.
Oh, you had a little Ghostbusters meal there. Nice.
A whole meal. Yeah. Yeah. So the cookbook is fine. It has like a little, there's like podcast and Ray talking that's kind of like built into some of the recipes. So they try and like make it more Ghostbusters-y, but again, but outside of all of the marshmallow shit, because there is a bunch of marshmallow shit in there, there's not a lot of actual connections to like food from the movies.
Yeah, it's just like, let's like kind of gross this up or like slime it up or something.
Yeah, it's just like normal meals. Yeah. So,
nice.
So that was one, and then the other book that I read, and this isn't that kind of show, so I apologize in advance. But I found a porn parody called Gas Blasters, not associated with Ghostbusters. It was very
gas blasters.
Gas Blasters. Yep. It's like 60 pages long, super super fast and short. But at one point, let's see, I typed down.
Not gas like a fart, like a gas blaster, but
GHAST, gassed.
Okay.
And what was it? I'm sorry, I wrote it
like
down.
Is it a porn parody or a romantic novel?
Dude, it's just porn. Like
it's like 50 Shades of Grey, but like was to Twilight. It's a fan fiction, right?
Yes, it's just fan fiction. And so basically, there's this big problem where women are having their asses haunted, and the gas blasters have to go around and use what they would use in a porn to unhaunt these women's asses.
What would they what do you mean? They'd have sex with them?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But like in like a weird cuckold way too, because like many of the women, like their husbands would call the Ghostbusters to unhaunt their wives' asses. And
does the haunting make them like? What happens to their ass? Are they evil, or is that a bad thing that their asses are haunted, or a good thing?
It doesn't really talk about that too much. One of them, like the woman goes kind of crazy when he tries to, have sex with her in that region. I'm trying to keep it not completely X-rated here, but
no, I mean I'll make it.
Yeah. So there's two of them, and they're going around unhaunting women's asses, and that's wouldn't recommend it, but I just felt like I had to read it because.
So they're busting their ass, right? And that's kind of the thing.
Even used the joke "bustin' makes me feel good" in the.
Of course they did.
Because of course they did. Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. Did this come out like in the 80s when the original came out, or is this like way later? Do you know?
Oh, way later. Yeah. Let me look up the year, but.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, that was it too. Like there were quite a few others that it recommend. Like I read this on Kindle, and there were like quite a few others that it like recommended to me right after. So yeah, maybe there's more of these. I don't know if I'm going to read another one for this show. It's not quite my scene, but it was. I don't know. When you're doing Ghostbusters, you got to do it all the way, including the cookbook and the porn parody. So
I mean, it just shows how big the franchise really is. It's gotten to that point where you're just making I guess romance, quote unquote, romance novels.
Yes, exactly right.
50 Shades of Ghost.
Uh-huh.
Well, what else you got? Is that all you got, or
That's what I got for this week. Yeah. So
that's amazing.
yeah.
Chris, did you read the whole book?
I mean, like I said, it was only like 60 pages. It's a
Okay.
very short book. It's like, booklet might be a better description for it. So
that's so funny. I love
yeah.
it.
So anyway, that's Gas Blasters and the Ghostbusters.
I keep hearing Gas Blasters. That's like a totally different thing in my head. Just a bunch of farting gas blasters. Gas Blasters. Terrible name.
Terrible name. Yeah. But I think they wanted it to be sort of connected. You know what I mean? They couldn't use quite Ghostbusters, but anyway.
What about Ass Busters?
That would have been way better. And it describes what the book's about too.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, because it was like page one of this book, there's penetrative sex. So it like really is a porn first and like a parody second. So be warned if that's so
it's less romance and more straight to the point.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Crazy.
But yeah, I don't know. It was kind of fun to read, and you know, when you're living in Ghostbusters, it's kind of fun to see just what all is out there. So
absolutely.
And that's all that I've got for Ghostbusters. So we're kind of at the end of it for books.
I feel like we kind of exhausted everything else too. There's not much. We watched the shows. I mean, I played all the video games pretty much, and where else are you gonna go but the porn parodies?
I didn't really want to read just a novelization of one of the old books, you know, that doesn't sound fun to me. And this was at least something different, you know. And
in the comics,
last week of Ghostbusters month, you know, we might as well jump in.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for doing that. Anything else you want to say before we turn our eyes to our next franchise, Chris?
Ooh, I'm excited to announce this one. I think we're both excited to watch this thing. Do you want to tell the people what they got coming up?
We've been so enthralled by Rick Moranis for the past month. Well, he was only in the first two, but we loved it so much we decided we need to watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That's right.
And Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, and Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Yep. Lots of
so we're gonna go
mishaps.
We're gonna go that direction. There was also a planned sequel that was supposed to come out this year, so it's sort of relevant. We'll see if that ever happens, but we're gonna get into that franchise next week.
That's right.
Can't wait, Chris.
Cannot wait, Tanner. Quick reminder at the end of the show, check the show notes. There's a link to a survey with just some silly questions. We'll read your answers on the show next week when we're talking about Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But take a minute, fill that out. It just it makes some jokes with us. It makes the show more fun when other people are playing along.
Definitely. Also, check out our subreddit, Milking the Franchise, YouTube, Milking the Franchise. Like and subscribe to anything. Review if you like it. All that stuff makes us very happy to see people engaged. Getting those comments before this episode from our friend W is very cool. I enjoy it. It's great. Got to be as interactive with you as we can. We're not scary celebrities or anything. We're just two dudes, couple of dudes, couple of very cool dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see you next week for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
All right, bye.